couple of takes. We weren't going off a script. We were as a springboard for the scene, but it could go in any direction. And
Ever wondered what happens when Hollywood's biggest stars hit their 60s? Some defy time, looking just as youthful as ever, while others embrace aging with wisdom and grace. But in an industry obsessed with youth, who stayed on top and who did Hollywood leave behind? Let's take a look. Hollywood is a world built on youth, beauty, and star power. For decades, the industry has celebrated fresh faces, casting young actors in leading roles while quietly pushing older stars aside. But some legends have refused to fade, defying age, breaking barriers, and staying in the spotlight well into their 60s and beyond. Some stars barely seem to age, still commanding the screen with the same energy they had in their prime. Others have embraced their years gracefully, shifting into new kinds of roles. But then there are those who struggled to stay relevant, watching as Hollywood moved on without them. And let's not forget the pressures of staying young in an industry that fears aging. Some stars turn to plastic surgery, fitness, and reinvention, while others accept the inevitable passage of time. So how does Hollywood really treat its aging stars? Do they get better with time, or does the industry make room for the next generation and leave them behind? Let's take a look at some of the biggest names in Hollywood, then versus now, and see who stood the test of time and who the industry forgot. First, we'll look at the ageless action star. Some Hollywood stars shine for a while, then fade away. Others reinvent themselves, finding new roles as they age. But then there's Tom Cruise, a name that's been at the top for over 40 years, and somehow he still isn't slowing down. Back in the 80s, he was Hollywood's golden boy. It all started with Risky Business, where one scene, a shirt, socks, and a lip-sync performance, turned him into an overnight sensation. Then came Top Gun, Rain Man, and The Color of Money. By the time the 90s hit, he wasn't just a star, he was the star. Blockbuster after blockbuster, Cruise delivered. Mission Impossible, a game-changer, Jerry Maguire, an Oscar-nominated classic, Minority Report, sci-fi at its best. There was no limit to what he could do, and Hollywood couldn't get enough of him. But that was then. What about now? At 60-plus, most actors start slowing down, but Cruise? Not even close. While other action stars pass the torch, he's still running, still jumping, still breaking records. Top Gun. Maverick wasn't just a sequel. It was a phenomenon, proving that he's still Hollywood's most bankable star. And the stunts? All him. No doubles, no tricks, just pure commitment. Whether he's climbing the tallest building in the world, hanging off a plane, or speeding on motorcycles, Cruise refuses to let age define him. Most actors adjust their careers when they hit their 60s. Cruise? He just pushes harder, and at this point, it doesn't look like he's stopping anytime soon. But not every Hollywood legend follows the same path. Some reinvent themselves, proving that talent, not age, keeps you at the top. And one of them is the timeless queen of Hollywood, Meryl Streep, one actress who never had to fight for relevance. From the moment she stepped into Hollywood, she wasn't just good, she was the best. She didn't rely on blockbuster franchises or action roles. She didn't need a Hollywood scandal to stay in the spotlight. Her talent alone kept her on top. It all started with Kramer vs. Kramer, where one powerful performance earned her an Oscar and cemented her as a Hollywood powerhouse. Then came Sophie's Choice out of Africa and The Bridges of Madison County, each film proving that nobody could match her talent. While most actresses struggled to find lead roles past 40, Streep never faded. Hollywood's obsession with youth and beauty? It didn't apply to her. By the time she hit her 60s, did she slow down? Not even a little. Instead, she took on roles that only she could make legendary. The Devil Wears Prada? Iconic. Her portrayal of Miranda Priestly was so good, it became a pop culture phenomenon. Mamma Mia! A cultural reset. She brought warmth, fun, and charisma to a film that became an instant fan favorite. Big Little Lies, scene-stealing brilliance. Even surrounded by A-list stars, she dominated every scene she was in. And let's not forget The Iron Lady, where she won yet another Oscar for playing Margaret Thatcher. While most actresses see opportunities shrink with age, Streep kept proving that talent, not age, determines greatness. Unlike many of her peers, she never had to reinvent herself because she never stopped being Hollywood's most respected name. She wasn't forced into supporting roles, playing someone's mom or grandmother just to stay employed. She didn't have to take mediocre scripts just to stay relevant. Hollywood kept giving her the best scripts, the best directors, and the best roles, because she was the best. At 75 years old, she's still dominating the industry. She's still taking on powerful, complex roles, proving that real talent never expires. And even now, she's still going. But Hollywood doesn't treat every aging star this way. Some struggle, some fade, and some disappear entirely. Some stars burn bright and fade away. Others reinvent themselves. And then there's Brad Pitt, a Hollywood legend who somehow only became cooler with time. It all started in the early 90s. One role, one scene, and suddenly he was everywhere. His breakthrough, Thelma and Louise. One smirk, one cowboy hat, and Hollywood had its new heartthrob. His charm was effortless, his swagger unmatched. But he wasn't just another pretty face. He had the talent to back it up. Then came Legends of the Fall, where he wasn't just a romantic lead, he was the romantic lead. The long hair, the brooding intensity, it was Hollywood perfection. Then Seven, a dark, gripping thriller where he held his own against Morgan Freeman. And then Fight Club, the movie that turned him from leading man to pop culture icon. By the 2000s, Pitt wasn't just a star. He was the star. He could do it all. Action, drama, heist films, period pieces. And Hollywood couldn't get enough. Ocean's 11 made him the coolest con man on screen. Troy showed off his warrior presence. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Not just a box office hit, but a movie that changed his entire life. But then, Hollywood changed. At 61 years old, most actors slow down. But Pitt? He only leveled up. He stopped playing reckless rebels and action heroes and started choosing roles with more depth and weight. He leaned into more complex characters, trading his young, wild energy for seasoned charm. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Smooth, effortless, Oscar-winning, Bullet Train? Proof that he still had the charisma and action chops. But his biggest move? Stepping behind the camera. Pitt wasn't just starring in movies anymore. He was making them, shaping them, and winning Oscars for them. His production company, Plan B Entertainment, backed some of the most critically acclaimed films of the last 2 decades. 12 Years a Slave, Best Picture. The Big Short, brilliantly executed. Moonlight, a game changer. Suddenly he wasn't just a Hollywood pretty boy. He was a Hollywood powerhouse. And yet the boyish charm never faded. The effortless swagger never left. If anything, age made him even cooler. But now, he's more than just a Hollywood pretty boy. He's a Hollywood powerhouse. Brad Pitt didn't just age well, he aged into a new league entirely, and he's not done yet. But while some stars embrace growing older, others fight it at every turn. And few have fought harder than the Queen of Pop herself. Madonna, a woman who refuses to let Hollywood, the media, or anyone tell her when her time is up. Back in the 80s and 90s, she wasn't just a pop star, she was a movement. She didn't just release hits, she shaped pop culture. Like a Virgin wasn't just a song, it was a moment in history. Vogue didn't just create a dance trend, it redefined self-expression. Ray of Light didn't just win awards, it transformed how pop stars could evolve their sound. While other artists burned out, Madonna set the rules. She shocked, reinvented, and stayed ahead of every trend. She wasn't afraid of controversy, she thrived in it. She was provocative, fearless, and always one step ahead of the industry. But fast forward to her 60s and beyond, and the world's attitude toward her changed. She's still making music, she's still performing, she's still pushing boundaries. But now, the industry that once celebrated her rebellion criticizes her for not aging the way they expect her to. The media doesn't talk about her music anymore. They talk about her face, her plastic surgery, her outfits, her refusal to age gracefully. They question why she still dresses provocatively. They mock her social media presence. They act like a woman over 60 shouldn't be allowed to take risks anymore. But Madonna? She doesn't care. She's faced relentless scrutiny, but she refuses to fade into the background. She won't disappear quietly. Whether she's on stage, online, or making headlines, she's proving that she'll do things on her terms. She's still touring, still pushing artistic limits, still sparking conversations, just like she always has. Because here's the thing, if Madonna had played by the rules, she never would have become Madonna in the first place. Hollywood may have expected her to step aside for the next generation. The industry may have moved on. The critics may be louder than ever. Hollywood may have expected her to step aside for the next generation, but if there's one thing Madonna has never done, it's follow the rules. And while some stars fight to stay in the spotlight, others manage to keep their legendary status without ever having to prove anything. And that's when we have Harrison Ford, a man who never wanted to be a Hollywood icon, but somehow he became one of the biggest legends of all time. His journey to stardom? A total accident. He wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't fighting for auditions. He was literally working as a carpenter when George Lucas gave him a shot. And that shot? It changed everything. One role, one blaster, one sarcastic smirk. That was all it took for Han Solo to become a household name. A few years later, he put on a fedora and became Indiana Jones, cementing himself as Hollywood's ultimate action hero. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Ford was untouchable. He dominated the box office with Blade Runner, The Fugitive, and Air Force One. He wasn't just an action star, he was the action star. Rugged, tough, and always in control. But Hollywood changed. Ford got older. And most actors his age would have retired or been pushed aside. Ford, he did the exact opposite. At 60 plus, most action heroes hang up their boots. Ford, he laced them up again. He returned to Indiana Jones. He stepped back into Star Wars. While other stars tried to fight aging, Ford embraced it. He no longer played indestructible heroes. He played worn-out legends, men with history, scars, and regrets. And audiences loved it. The Force Awakens wasn't just a nostalgia trip. It was proof that Ford still had the magic. Indiana Jones 5 might have had mixed reviews, but his presence still commanded respect. He wasn't pretending to be young again. He was showing what happens when heroes grow old but refuse to give up. But here's the real question. How long can he keep this up? Because at this point, Harrison Ford isn't just a legend. He's a survivor. And while Ford kept his action star status, others took a different approach, shifting into roles that embraced aging with dignity, which is Robert De Niro, a man who let time do its thing and made it work for him. Back in the 70s and 80s, De Niro wasn't just an actor. He was a force of nature. Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, each performance wasn't just great, it was legendary. He was Hollywood's ultimate tough guy, a master of method acting, and an actor who didn't just play characters, he became them. Every role had intensity, depth, and power. But Hollywood doesn't stay the same. Tough guys get older. And instead of forcing himself into action star roles that didn't fit, De Niro did something smart. He evolved. At 60 plus, he could have tried to hold on to his younger image, but he didn't need to. He embraced his age, his experience, his legacy. Instead of playing mobsters in their prime, he played the elder statesman, the boss who's seen it all. The Irishman? A deep, reflective look at what happens when time catches up with you. Joker? A quiet, powerful performance that added weight to a new generation of cinema. He transitioned from intense leading man to legendary mentor, picking roles that suited his legacy rather than clinging to the past. But let's be real, he still has his tough guy moments. The Irishman might have focused on age, but it also had flashes of the classic De Niro, the guy who made audiences hold their breath with a single glare. Unlike many actors his age, De Niro never became a caricature of himself. He never chased youth. He let himself age with class, and Hollywood still respects him for it. But here's the question. Does he still have the same pull? Because in Hollywood, even legends can be replaced. They love rising stars. But it also forgets them just as fast. Some actors fight to stay relevant. Others vanish, never to return. And then there's Michelle Pfeiffer. a woman who walked away from the spotlight and then staged one of the most unexpected comebacks in Hollywood history. Back in the 80s and 90s, Pfeiffer wasn't just a star, she was the moment. She had the looks, the talent, and the range to play anything. She could be fierce, vulnerable, dangerous, or mysterious, and she made it all look effortless. Her breakthrough? Scarface. She played the ultimate femme fatale, proving that she wasn't just another pretty face, she was a powerhouse. Then came The Witches of Eastwick, Dangerous Liaisons, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Batman Returns, each performance better than the last. For years, Hollywood couldn't get enough of her. Then, she disappeared. By the early 2000s, Pfeiffer vanished from the big screen. No major movies, no big premieres, nothing. She left Hollywood behind, choosing a quiet life away from the cameras. And just like that, the industry moved on. For a while, it seemed like she would be one of those stars we only remember in old movies. But then, after nearly a decade away, Pfeiffer made a move. At 60 plus, most actresses struggle to land good roles. Not her. She returned to Hollywood on her own terms. She wasn't chasing a comeback. She was just doing what she loved again. Ant-Man and the Wasp put her back on the big screen. French Exit earned her award buzz. The First Lady saw her playing Betty Ford, reminding everyone that she's still one of the best in the business. But here's the real question. Did Hollywood ever truly appreciate her? Did she leave because she wanted to, or because Hollywood decided her time was up? Was Pfeiffer's career about talent, or was it about beauty? Either way, she's back. And if her career has taught us anything, it's this: never count Michelle Pfeiffer out. But while some actors struggle to reclaim their place, others never have to fight at all. Because some stars never fall from the top. And no one proves that more than Denzel Washington. Most actors have a prime, a golden era where they dominate Hollywood. Then, as they age, they fade into supporting roles, playing mentors, background characters, or retired legends. But not Denzel Washington. From the moment he hit the screen, he was different. He didn't just play roles, he owned them. He wasn't a product of Hollywood hype. He didn't rely on blockbusters or franchises to stay relevant. His talent alone carried him to the top. His rise to stardom wasn't instant, but when he arrived, he took over. His breakthrough? Glory, 1989. One performance, one Oscar. A star was born. Then came the roles that defined his legacy. Malcolm X, powerful, transformative, unforgettable. The Pelican Brief? A leading man who could dominate thrillers. Crimson Tide? Holding his own against Gene Hackman. By the time Training Day came along, he was already a Hollywood legend. The role of Alonzo Harris? Iconic. The performance? Oscar-winning. The impact? Unmatched. But here's the thing. Hollywood isn't kind to aging actors. Most stars fade into smaller roles as they grow older. Their box office power weakens. The scripts dry up. Denzel? He never took a step back. At 70 years old, he's still headlining blockbusters. The Equalizer proved he could still be an action star. Fences earned him another Oscar nomination. The Tragedy of Macbeth? One of the best performances of his career. He could have transitioned into less demanding roles, playing side characters or retired mentors. But he didn't need to. Hollywood never saw him as too old. They never tried to push him aside. Instead, they kept giving him lead roles, because they knew no one else could do what he does. And unlike many actors, he never had to reinvent himself. He didn't chase relevance, he was always relevant. He didn't need a career comeback, because he never left. His performances are effortless. His presence was undeniable. His impact was permanent. So here's the truth. Denzel Washington never lost his star power, because when you're that good, Hollywood has no choice but to keep you at the top. And that's what separates legends from everyone else. Some fight for relevance, some disappear, some fade into nostalgia. But then, there are the rare few who never leave the spotlight. Because when Hollywood calls, some stars always answer. And there you have. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Click on the next video popping up on your screen. You won't want to miss what's coming next.